All right, guys, here we go again. Another week of the Hawk-Smolen podcast. Back at you again. We have Smolen back in the building. Smolen, you there?
I am here, and it feels good to be back, man. It's been a couple weeks where I've been gone. I apologize for not being here, but it feels good to be back in the booth.
Awesome, awesome. And we got a special guest in the booth with us tonight, Mr. Champion himself, Jamie Kephart. You there? We may have lost Jamie Kephart. Are you
No,
there?
I'm here. Sorry, I'm here, boys.
Okay.
Glad to be up in the booth with y'all this week.
All right, there we go. We had ourselves a little coy moment there, but we're back on track. Okay.
We had to put a seat in for him.
Yeah,
trying to find a seat.
Yeah. There's a little crowd in here, but yeah, we're good now. We're back up and loaded to go. All right, so here we go. We're going to start off with our Monday night action, and it was at the Paperclip at Martinsville Speedway. Very nice day there, 87 degrees, overcast skies, and the qualifying action was really hot. We had Chris Jones laying down a burner, 21-3-2-3. Chris Jones out there, Hunter in the 2 spot, Brandon Parks qualified in the top 3 there. We looked down at some of the list here. We had 14 guys out there on the track. Smolden, you see anybody maybe should have done better in qualifying?
Maybe Sellers, but Corey probably disappointed a little bit in qualifying there, but overall it was decent. It's a tough track, obviously. Street stocks at Martinsville, the old paperclip, so it was decent out there. But it was nice to see Chris Jones come out there with the pole for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It was awesome to see Chris Jones once again get that pole for the Choice Inc. Esports guys. Jamie, what do you see here? I know you didn't race on Monday, but you've been around these guys long enough. What do you see anything out of the ordinary?
For the most part, I would expect, obviously Corey and Sellers maybe to be up a couple more spots than they were. But, a burner of a lap by Jonesy. That's a heck of a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. 21-3-2-3 wasn't joking around, sir. So good job on Jones on that qualifier. As we moved over to the racing action, and that's where Brandon Parks picked up the win. Jay Bones himself back there in the 2 spot, and Chris Jones finding himself in the 3. So a nice little Choice Inc. 3-pack there. And looking at some of these guys in the back here, any notables here, Jamie, that you see that maybe could have moved up a few spots in that race?
For sure. Not sure of what all the details that took place on it, but Corey and Sellers being at the bottom of the list, it's definitely a surprise. Cole's actually a little bit farther down than I would expect to see him. So yeah.
Absolutely. What do you think, Smolden? Anybody you see out of the ordinary there?
Yeah, I was out on the track with these guys. Obviously, I don't run these cars that often. There's some banging and beating and some misfortunate opportunities where guys were probably pushing a little harder than they needed to at the beginning. Obviously, that's where we ended up with Cole and obviously Noah, Derek, Corey in the back. But it's a paperclip. It happens.
Yeah, it does. And we had a little drama near the end of the race here. We had Hunter making his way up, trying to get the win here. He got tangled up with Brandon Parks, and unfortunately, at the end of that collision, it ended up giving him 16X, which is the boot. And so he got disqualified, which gave that 3rd place to Chris Jones. So tough break there for Hunter as he had 16 incident points. Cole Howard also with 16 incident points. And nobody at the paperclip surprisingly had 0. So the guy with the least was looks like Mr. Clement himself. So a good workout there for them guys. And overall, great racing for Brandon Parks winning it at Martinsville as we head out of that race. And then we went over to the 203 Truck Series, which we normally run on asphalt. But, we had the guys playing in the dirt at Charlotte. And we had some heat races in that. And it was awesome to see as we saw heat number 1 went to Derek Sellers, Blake Bailey back there in the 2, Clement in the 3. And, yeah, nothing out of the ordinary in my eyes here. What are you seeing, Jamie?
It looks pretty what I would expect to take place with Derek, Blake, and Tyler, all 3 being regulars on the dirt. So yeah, it's not a strange thing to see all 3 of them up front.
Absolutely. And then we went over to heat number 2, and that was won by Chris Jones, Jess Gordon in the 2, and Mr. Adam Herr in the 3 spot there. The rest of the guys were Cole, Smolden, Flowers, and J Bones. Smolden, anything in that heat that guys should have been moved around a little bit more?
Now, I think the way this race broke down is kind of everybody just fit into their own little zone there. Is trucks at dirt. It's always an interesting evening. So disappointing on my end, obviously coming in 5th on the heat, but you got Jones, Gordon, and Adam up there. So it was a good. It was a good heat race. It was a fun one.
Yeah, and the one thing that stood out to me here is a name that you don't see on the dirt, and that's J Bones out there. So to see J Bones out here playing around in the dirt is pretty freaking awesome. So that was your heat number 2, won by Chris Jones, and then we went right into the race, and it was an awesome race. And Clement won it, Gordon into 2, and Anthony Monroe round out your top 3 there. Some of these names in the back here, Smolen, should have been a little bit further up in the dirt, considering it was on dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you'd expect. The thing doesn't have a wing on it, so it's a little harder on my behalf. But I also do like the truck series, so overall, very very tough night on my end. Obviously, Brandon Parks struggled a little bit. Kenneth struggled. It was tough. It was fun, but it was you either had to hit your marks, or if you missed one mark, you were getting ran over. Not in a bad way, but you just couldn't carry momentum. So it was a fun race, but it was very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a fun race, and like I said, these trucks are mostly on asphalt during the season, so to kick them out there on the dirt was also very fun. And yeah, a lot of great racing. Clement won it, Gordon in 2, Monroe into 3. And we look at the incident points here, and they didn't really rack up as much as I thought they would, considering we were on dirt. Looks like Jonathan Flowers had 12. Good to see Flowers out there putting the truck on the dirt. So second right behind him was Blake Bailey with 10. And then a few guys that had 0 incident points, which blows my mind, is your race winner Clement and Gordon in the second spot. Both of them with 0. And Jamie, you know this. You've raced on dirt too. It's not very easy to get 0 incident points on dirt, Jamie.
No, especially in these trucks, because these trucks are a different story than your average dirt leagues that we run. So, very throttle sensitive. These things are not the easiest to drive. I've raced some of these with these guys. I think at Eldora and stuff like that. Jess Gordon doesn't surprise me. He's always good for some reason. I don't know why. He's always good at the trucks on dirt. Tyler's your average dirt guy, so it's no surprise to see him up top. Obviously, Jay and I think Jay and John. It's pretty cool to see them guys out there on the dirt. John in an asphalt type vehicle, but it's still on dirt. That's pretty cool. Obviously, some guys got into some wrecks and stuff like that, or you wouldn't see like Smolin as far down the list and stuff like that. So yeah, stuff happens, especially on these things on dirt. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Smolden, we see this here. Your number 1 qualifier, Derek Sellers, back in the 9 spot there. Tough break with him on the last lap, I believe, has got himself caught up into the wall, then down into Monroe, and that was pretty much his race for your number 1 qualifier back there in the 9 spot. Not good, but hopefully you can get that cleaned up and ready to go. But yeah, overall, great night for Mr. Clement himself, Gordon, and Monroe there in the trucks. As we got done with the trucks, and then we went on to Tuesday night. Tuesday night, we did all the racing championship week at Eldora Speedway. Great facility, 82 degrees, mostly cloudy. There was a pretty awesome night in the 360s. Championship week, we started off with qualifying. Your number 1 qualifier in the 360, no surprise. Jess Gordon, Chris Jones in the 2, Smolden in that 3 spot in qualifying. And we looked down the list, we had 13 guys out there. Any surprises there, Smolden, that you're seeing on the list of qualifying?
It broke down kind of the way we all figured. Great track to be at, obviously, and especially in a 360. It's always fun, but no, Jess came out with a blazing lap like always. Jonesy right there, always right on the heel of him, if not in front of him. But no, this qualifying session definitely broke down the exact way I thought it would go.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked really good. Like I said, Chris Jones into 2, Smolden into 3, and Gordon picking up that quick time, 13.744 in qualifying. And then we went over to the race, and it was an awesome race. Chris Jones picks up the win. He was battling hard with Valentine, who overall won the 360 championship. So congratulations to Valentine's on that. And Smolden finished third in the race. Jamie in the 4 spot. And looking down the list here at some of these guys, and to me, what stands out, Jamie, is seeing Coy here. Coy's a very good racer. Being back there in the 8th spot is a little bit surprising.
Yeah, it's just how it plays out sometimes on the dirt. Sometimes you got good luck, sometimes bad. But the majority of these guys on this list, you could pick any one of them any day, any week, and they could possibly win. I've seen the majority of these guys either set the qualifying time, quick time, or even win the race. So yeah, to see a couple of them down there is a little surprising, but it's a pretty stacked field to be honest with you, especially in these dirt sprint cars.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean, Smolden, we're going to 410s next season. This is the last season of the 360s for a while. You expect a little more action, consider we're going to 410s, or you think these guys will be just fine?
I think they'll be just fine, to be honest. I mean, obviously it's a bigger motor, but it also allows you to, at times, when you made a mistake in a 360 where it take you a half a lap to recover from that, a 410 will, it's faster, so it'll allow you to recover from a mistake faster or quicker, at least. But it can still bite you in the ass right after that. So it could go either way. But I think the majority of these guys here, they run the 360s with us every week. I don't see the change in the car up to the 410 being that big of an issue, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. So we take a look at some of these incident points here, and looks like the most that we got on the board is 6, and that's from a few different drivers. Wyatt Walker back there, Blake Bailey, and yourself, Jamie Kephart, with 6 there. And then you have guys with 0, which, well, surprisingly, was your top 3 guys: Jones, Valentine, and Smolden, all with goose eggs there. So congrats on that. Great work. It's not easy to do. And yeah, once again, congratulations to Chris Jones winning the race, and Valentine winning the championship in the 360s. As we got done with that race and we loaded up to the big block modifieds right back at Eldora. The track dropped a little bit. It was 73 degrees. And we did the same thing. We went out there and qualified them. It was championship night for these guys also. And Jamie Kephart himself here, number 1 qualifier, 16.416. Chris Jones in the 2, Coy in the 3. Smolden, any surprises here in your list of 15?
The only thing maybe Blake being in the 10 spot out of qualifying. I mean, obviously me being down in the 12, that's probably where I belong. I should have been down with you and just DQ'd and up in the booth probably. But I always enjoy coming out here and running with these guys because I don't run these cars at all. Jamie's probably flat tired of hearing me in his ear the whole time. Like, man, how do you get so fast in these things? Like, they just don't make sense to me. But no, I mean, you're top at least 8. It all makes sense to me, right? Like, that's where they all belong. But good job to half these guys out there that put down burner laps for sure.
Yeah, they were all throwing down the burners. I mean, everybody ran a 16.4 all the way back to your 7th spot. So those guys knew what they were doing in qualifying. And once again, that quick time went to Jamie Kephart. And then we went over to the race. And no surprise there, your number 1 qualifier, Jamie Kephart, not only won the race, but he also won the Big Block Modified Championship. So congratulations, Jamie. That was a great job. And Coy back there finished second in the race. Clement in the 3 spot. And then we go down the list here, and one that's going to stand out to me that I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on with him. I look at Chris Beavers. Chris Beavers normally pretty good over there in the Flowers Motorsports camp. I know he didn't qualify too hot, but seeing him back there barely squeezing in the top 10 is a big surprise for me. Jamie, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Jonesy and Beavers, probably Blake too. Obviously, accidents happen, which is probably more than likely what happened with some of these boys being a lap down. I mean, Eldora is a fast track. It's very wide and stuff, but at the same time, you're trying to get every inch you can as fast as you can. So for these boys to rub tires or to throw a right side into somebody else is not uncommon.
Absolutely, yeah. These guys definitely. I mean, it's dirt racing at the end of the day, guys. I mean, you're sliding around on dirt. I mean, I mean, you can control it to the best you can, but at the end of the day, you can only do what you can do. So 10 incident points, not bad. These guys are keeping it right around 10, which I love to see. I mean, I don't want to see anybody get disqualified for incident points, but 10's not bad. Jamie up at the top, one. He only had 2, and then your goose eggs go to Coy and Clement. Both them guys with 0 incident points. So congratulations to those guys. And once again, Jamie Kephart taking the win there and the championship in the big blocks at Eldora. As we got done with those, we went over to the Dirt Pro Late Models Championship night. Track dropped 2 more degrees, 71 degrees. Clear sky, a little windier than what we had it. And then we went into qualifying here, where Big Nasty for Flowers Motorsports takes that quick time there. So big step up there for those guys who were at that camp, laying down a burner. Jamie Kephart into 2, and Wyatt Walker back there qualified 3. I'm going to start with you, Jamie, here. Anybody in this list of 17 drivers showed up for the Dirt Pro Late Models? Anybody think you should have qualified a little bit better?
Some of the boys I'm not familiar with. I believe they're new to the league or fairly new at least. But some of the guys down there, like Coy at the 9, I would him and Jess. I could see them being a little bit higher. I mean, but I mean, trying to run a qualifying lap here, you're basically guessing, and it's all throttle control. So like I said, you're trying to get every little inch, and you got to be easy. Nasty laid down a burner, but the top four are all in the fives, so we were all right there together. Nasty just hit it a little bit better than the rest of us.
Yep, he did, absolutely. And the guy that stands out for me, and I'm going to have to call him out here, is the guy that runs a lot of these cars. Jonathan Flowers back there qualified himself in the 13 spot. Definitely a lot quicker than that. The guy puts in a lot of work and a lot of effort. So he's got to get that turned around there in qualifying. So Jonathan Flowers back there in the 13 for me. Much better he could have done. Now we went over to the race, and here it is again. Jamie Kephart winning it. Big Nasty in the 2. Wyatt Walker back there in the 3. As we look down the list here, we had 17 guys run the feature. We took them all. And you see anything Smolen here in these 17 that maybe stands out to you?
Yeah, the biggest one here is obviously Jess. Disconnected, it looks like. So I don't know exactly what the problem might have been. Obviously, multiple laps down. Coy being down there. There's a couple guys that shouldn't have finished where they finished, but racing happens and it's part of it. But a couple struggles, but we do got to give it up to Jamie though, coming out with the win on that. It's a beautiful race and a hell of a finish.
Yeah, and speaking of what happened to Jess Gordon, so what happened was we had an earlier accident with Wyatt Walker, got into the back of Jess Gordon, and it was a tap, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it could have been cleaner on Wyatt Walker's part. I do agree with that. Jess was able to hold on to it, and then a couple turns later, Jess Gordon got up to the backside of Wyatt Walker and completely turned him to the point where Wyatt Walker couldn't hold on to it. So Jess Gordon was disqualified from this race for retaliation, which you guys know, you've been in the league now for a long time. It's definitely a no-go when it comes to the retaliation. You know, I don't like the idea of like, well, he hit me, so I want to hit him. You know what I mean? You guys have been in the league. I mean, you agree, right? I mean, we'll start with Jamie. I mean, you know, what do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, your head gets overheated. You're racing your tail off, and then you get a bump from the rear, from the side, or something, and you feel like you've been cheated a little bit. So some guys, they just see blood and they're like, I got to get him back. I got to get him back. In which that never leads to anything positive. So it's like I always tell people, it ain't the engine you got to worry about overheating. It's your helmet. You got to keep it cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and Smolden knows this too. I mean, there's been weeks where Smolden's been on top of the world, and then the last couple of weeks where just things ain't gone Smolden's way. You know what I mean? And it ain't like Smolden's out here wrecking guys to turn to things. You know, Smolden's like, hey, you know what? It's not going my way. I'm done for the night. You know, Smolden, you can address that, right? I mean, you've been on both sides.
Absolutely. No, I've had some very, very highs and I've had some very, very lows. Obviously, the last couple of weeks have been a big struggle for me on the track. And yeah, I mean, you just, we all love racing. We all love winning, right? We want to win. That's why we're out here, right? Like if no one's out here to race for an 8th place finish, right? We want that top podium spot. So,
yeah.
But at the same time, you kind of have to just sit back and know when you're not that guy to win that race that night. Like, and if you're not, you just sit back and you do your laps, you log them in and call it good, right? Like,
yep.
That's the only difference between iRacing and actual racing in real life, because this shit don't cost no money when you crash, right? Like in real life, if you go out and do dumb shit, when you get back to the pits, your team's going to be screaming at you because it actually costs you physical money that you have to repair and replace and time and all that stuff. So that's the only downfall. But obviously, like, I'm glad it doesn't cost me any more money when I wreck on this, because I wouldn't be able to afford it, right? I'm better off in my real car.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I mean,
you get overheated, but it's fun.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that because, you know, getting into the next race here, and I don't want to jump ahead, but, you know, you went through that in the next race, so we'll get to that here. But, yeah, like I said, looking at this race here, Jamie Kephart ended up taking the win here, and not only the win, but he also won the championship, so not easy to do. The man's on a tear here. Jamie Kephart won it, Big Nasty in a 2, and Wyatt Walker finished out in that 3 spot as we called him out here. And we look at those incident points. Like I said, Big Nasty was 0. Jamie Kephart with 0, Chris Beavers with 0, and it looks like Flowers was the main man with 10 there. So not too bad for those guys at Eldora. And then once again, like I said, Jamie Kephart capping off the night with the win and the championship. Now we head over to the dirt street stocks. And like I said, this is the entry level of our dirt. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we bring new guys to the league, we ask them, hey, if you don't really know what you're doing in the dirt, come run dirt street stocks with us. And that's what we do. So we got out here, we got qualifying, and we had 16 guys out here. Jamie Kephart taking the number 1 qualifier, Clement in the 2, Blake Bailey in the 3. And Smolden, we'll start with you on this here. Anybody back here in these other 16 spots, Dirt Street Stock should have done any better?
I feel like it's the same guys. There's a couple guys that really struggle Tuesday night on dirt, and Eldora shouldn't be one of the tracks that you struggle at. So, I mean, I'm going to put out probably Anthony Monroe struggled a little bit, but he's more of a pavement guy, I feel like. Flowers, obviously, Coy, even Wyatt. I mean, I wouldn't expect those kind of guys to be down there, right? Like, I don't even run street stocks normally, and I was able to somehow qualify above them. But I mean, it's not terrible, but that it's just part of it, right?
Yep.
Couple laps and miss your line, and you call it good. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Anthony Monroe, and you're saying he's more of an asphalt guy. Well, hey, looking. So we got the post over on the Facebook page, and Anthony Monroe comes over with a comment. And like I said, I'll bring in social media when we got to, but we posted a thing over there, just celebrating Jamie's accomplishment this season, well deserved. And the comment pops up, and I'm like, oh, okay. I love reading them, and I love everybody that comments. And I read this one. It's Anthony Monroe, and he says, "I'm coming for that ass, Jamie." Next season, Jamie's in here right now, and Jamie's here. So I mean, like I said, Jamie, we know you've been dominating a lot of these series, but to win 3 of them, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's got to hurt some of these guys' feelings or whatever. But at the end of the day, to be called out in your number 1 class that you've dominated since the day you've joined the league, which has been over a year, to hear those words from an asphalt guy, I mean, any response while you're here?
I always welcome the challenge. It doesn't matter who it is, what type of cars. It's all fun. It's all fun. I don't like running away with the lead and stuff like that. I like slide jobs on each other, racing hard. And a couple of these races this past week at Eldora were just that. Um, I don't think I really pulled away from anybody in these 3 races that I ended up winning. It was a race to the end for most of them. But yeah, heck yeah, Anthony. I look forward to it, man. It should be fun. Get up there and mix it up with us up front and stuff. And I mean, some of these races this past season, I won't lie to you. Some of them were luck. I mean, I straight up got some of them gave to me. Obviously, street stocks being my forte. I've raced those the most. Um, it just comes natural in the streeters. I like running those, but heck yeah, Tyler. I mean, I tell you what, Tyler Clemens coming on hard this past year or these past couple weeks or whatever.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, Kenneth and Beavers, they're big time street stock guys too. So I kind of expected them to be up there a little bit more. I don't know what happened back in the pack with those 2 guys. I mean, they're not off the pace or anything, but yeah, usually Nasty and Beavers are put us up there. Wyatt Walker as well. There's been a couple races Wyatt's pushed me clean to the end. So to see him that far down the list, I was a little shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, some of these guys, man, are definitely a lot better than what we're seeing here in that race. But congratulations again, Jamie Kephart, taking that win and the championship in the dirt. As we get over now to the race form, and that was, like I said, Clement out there in the 2 spot, Jones finishing in the 3. And yeah, the race was awesome, man. Seeing some of these guys and how they finished here. Like I said, Flowers back there in the 11th spot, and that kind of stood out to me there. And Blake Bailey also down there in the 14. So a little tough break for some of these guys, but they'll get it together here next season. I'm looking forward to it. The only guy with 0 on the board was Kenny Haight out there. Kenny Haight was 0 incident points. The rest of these guys all managed to get up to about 8 as the cap. So great job overall. Jamie Kephart laying down the burner in the race, 19.095. So just about 2/10 quicker than everybody else. So if you want some of that, Walker, and the rest of these guys, you better step it up because Jamie ain't going nowhere. So that's your dirt. It was awesome. Like I said, Jamie Kephart taking the championship in the big blocks and the pro late models and the dirt street stocks. Valentine winning that championship and the 360. All right, then we head over to the SK Modified, and we had a little bit of fun here. We had a couple guys message me, told me they couldn't make the race or whatever, so we dicked around and we had some fun with it, and it was a blast. And we started out with qualifying. Chris Jones qualified number 1, Cole Howard into 2. Myself actually got into this race. It was fun. I qualified 3rd. Adam Herr back into 4. Brandon Parks into 5. Cody into 6. Jamie back there into 7. Smolden, since you wasn't in this, any surprises here?
Yeah, I think I got to throw you under the bus here. It's good to see you out and on the track again. Obviously, hosting the races, it's a lot of work behind the scenes, right? Like,
yep.
It's not just talking into a mic and setting up a race real quick. Everybody wants the I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but it sounds like you're watching it on TV, right? So it's like, but you can't race and do that at the same time, especially when you're trying to set everything up, and it's tough. So it was good to see you out on the track, and you came out, and you haven't ran these cars with these guys in a long time. I couldn't even tell you last time you come out and qualified, P3, and congratulations, man, it was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it was awesome. It was fun to get back out there and race with these guys. And we went into the race, and Chris Jones dominated. Cole Howard in the 2, Jamie in the 3, Adam Herr in the 4, myself in the 5, 6 is Brandon, and Cody in the 7 there. So these guys put on a show here. We only had, I think, one caution. Cole Howard ended up laying down the burner out there, 13.043, a killer lap there at the Coliseum. And then as far as the incident points go, thank God we wasn't removing people from this race, because look at Brandon Parks with 30 fucking 8 incident points. Are you kidding me, Parks? Man, look at that right there. Jamie, what do you got to say about that?
Yeah, it was a bit crazy, but for me personally, that was my first time racing at the Coliseum, so it was something different for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we was mixing it up pretty good. It was a lot of good racing, bumping, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's a lot of points on the incident category.
Yeah, it was definitely a blast. Like I said, myself at 24 there, and Jones wins the race with 20. So, like I said, it was a fun race just to fuck off. Not a lot of guys should have, so we were able to kick off our Wednesday night pretty fun. And like I said, congratulations to Chris Jones winning that. As we got done with that, and then we went and raced the big brother of the SK, the Tour Mods, and the Choice Inc. Modified Tour at Myrtle Beach. It was 75 degrees, nice cool day there. And we started off with heat number 1. That's what we're going to look at here. We're going to go with the heat number 1. That was won by Mr. Valentine himself. Brandon Parks back there in the 2. J Bones finishing in the top 3 of that heat. Anthony Monroe and Adam Herr in your top 5 there. Jamie, any surprise?
Other than Eli's fast quick time, Jesus, I mean he was 2/10 faster than the next guy. So that's pretty stout. And I mean that heat right there is pretty loaded though for asphalt. So no, it could have been anybody, but Eli putting down the burner for sure.
Absolutely. As we go to heat number 2, and that was won by Chris Jones. Jamie Kephart in the 2. Nick back there in the 3. Cole in the 4, and Keith in the 5. Smolden, any surprises?
I think the only surprise that actually stands out is obviously Nick, finishing in third. Um, Jamie got good a pass on him, starting fourth and was able to get up and around Nick. I did not watch this race, so I'm kind of going on a limb here, but it's always shocking to see Nick not win a race when it comes to the old tours. So.
Absolutely, it is. As we show you here now. Speaking of Nick and a surprise, now this may blow your mind here. We're going to look at the qualifying. We don't remember look at the qualifying that much when we do the heat races, but we're going to look here. Your number 1 qualifier was Valentine Jones in the 2, Brandon Parks in the 3. Okay, so here's what we got here. We look down the list. Oh my God, look who's all the way down to the last spot in qualifying there. Jamie Kephart, you know about this man here. You've been watching him for the last month. Is that a huge surprise to see him qualify 10th?
Yeah, I believe he said after the race that he had messed his qualifying up. So I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, he's completely off pace there. Not sure if he just spent the first couple laps trying to get it warm, and then the final one he just tried to put a burner down and messed it up. I'm not sure, but yeah, he definitely had his hands full coming from the back though. So yeah,
Yes, he did. And as we go into the race here, we look at the race, and it was an awesome race, and no surprise there. It looks like Nick started up at the 6th spot and ended up winning it. Nick won the race here. Jamie Kephart in the 2, and you put on a battle with him, Jamie. And Valentine back there in the 3 spot. As we look down the list here, Smolden, any surprises here in your top 10?
No, obviously Nick, winning. We're all getting used to that. He doesn't race anybody dirty though, so it's kind of fun watching him be able to come through the field, and and I think it's a learning experience for everybody now. So it's trying to figure out what he does or what he's capable of doing. And I've talked to him a couple times myself, and he's willing to help you out. And you got any questions for him, he helps out. I think the coolest thing about this whole race is that we had 5 different lead changes, right? So you had guys going in and out of the lead throughout the race. And then, Eli's always quick. Obviously, he's buddies with Nick, and they both go back at it. Jonesy led a couple laps, but it's a really neat race to watch. You have a couple really dominant guys that start in the back and then work their way through the field in a clean way. They're not crashing people to get. I mean, Nick started or finished the race with 0 incidents, and he started the race in 6th. Very tough to do, right? Like, so I think it's a cool series. I like the way this race or this league is going on this division here for sure.
Absolutely, and like I said, Jamie Kephart had a chance there late. A couple cautions came out. Jamie was able to go in there and get some tires, and then he got back up to a 3 or 4 spot there. And the caution came out. Jones up into the wall. Jamie, you had your chance there. What happened?
Yeah, we were setting I think P4 whenever the first initial caution came out. So, and I was before that I was losing a little bit of ground on the top three. So I was like, I'm either going to keep falling back or we need to go get some fresh tires. So I jumped in there real quick. Luckily, I had some guys follow me. We made a charge there for a little bit. Had another caution. Then I think I restarted P3 behind only Nick and Eli. Was able to get around Eli on the bottom. Eli did not make it easy. I struggled with him for a minute, so I really didn't even get a shot at Nick. Not that I could have done anything with him. I mean, he basically came from the back, from the heat races to the main. This is just kind of like how I am in the dirt street stocks. Apparently, this is Nick's league right here. So we're all just kind of taking notes.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a great race to see. Like I said, Nick coming back to the front, winning it. You putting a late charge on, and it almost paid out. But once again, congratulations to Nick on the win. Jamie in the 2, and Valentine, your top 3 there in the Choice Inc. Modified Tour at Myrtle Beach. Then we got the Chaos Pro Late Model Division out, and they went over to Southern National, and it was a little hot, 78 degrees, partly cloudy, and we got them boys out on the track and got qualified, and Chris Jones got hot early, taking the number 1 qualifier, 14.939, dominating time there. Cole Howard qualified second, Jamie Kephart in that 3 spot, and we looked down the list here. We had 10 guys out here. It was a nice little pack of guys, and what do you see anything here, Smolen, out of the ordinary here in your top 10 in qualifying?
In these cars, not so much. Maybe Brandon Parks being down in the 7th spot. I mean, he's normally in the top 5 on most of the cars that we run, but this could, possibly not be the car or the track, and a bad night maybe. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we headed over to the race, and that's where it was dominated by Cole Howard for the Choice Inc. Esports guys. Over there, started second, ended up winning this thing, led 27 laps, laid down the quick time, 15:03.9. 0 incident points. I mean, Cole Howard loves him some Southern Nationals. The boy dominated. So congratulations to Cole on that win. Monroe back there in the 2 spot, just ahead of Chris Jones there. So Monroe was definitely on a rail, man, to be able to get up there and compete with these guys. And like I said, he's coming on strong this week. Monroe did a great job all week long to get himself up there to P2. Jamie Kephart in the 4. The 5 is Parks, and J Bones back there in the 6. And to me, what I see in this before I jump to one of you guys is the guy that I see that impressed me the most in this has definitely got to be Monroe. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are behind him that are very fast, such as Chris Jones, Jamie Kephart, Brandon Parks, Adam Herr, even Keith down there. I mean, so to see Monroe going up to the P2 spot, I mean, maybe he's going to find his niche here in this league. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Now, I wouldn't say a shocker because Monroe's been pretty consistent, but for him to be up there that close to almost, I don't know, taking the dub away from Cole, it was pretty neat. Yeah, he started initially outside of me, and he went around me, and just there was no catching the guy. So, but yeah, Cole ran away with it. Anthony settled in. Me and Jones both settled in, and it was a pretty consistent race actually. So, but yeah, congrats to Cole because there just wasn't no catching him.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I was talking to Chris Jones post race, and Chris Jones was like, hey, "Dude, Monroe was on a rail. He held me up there. He did a great job, and he was,
Yeah.
when you can get a compliment from Chris Jones, I don't know if you people talk to Chris Jones as much as we do, but if Chris Jones gives you a compliment, you done something good,
Oh
okay?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he doesn't have a problem calling you out on some dumb shit. I mean, even if it's minor dumb shit, he'll call you out. But if you can get a compliment from Chris Jones, that's a pretty good day. So congratulations to Cole again, and all the boys up there at Southern National. Great work as always. And then we ended that, and then we got done with that, and then we loaded up for the NASCAR Cup Cars at Chicagoland, which we just got done racing about an hour ago. And we laid down the qualifiers out here, and these guys were running pretty quick. Chris Jones taking the quick time in qualifying, 30.534 or 354, excuse me. There, Chris Jones laying it down. Brandon Parks at the 2, Anthony Monroe in the 3 spot there. So once again, Monroe finding himself hot and fast here at Chicagoland. We look down the list here. We had a few bots out there, but we'll jump up here with our top 7. guys that actually showed up and ran it. Any surprise here with Cole, Adam, or Jamie, or Jay being back there, Smolen?
Not here, I don't think. I mean, it's tough trying to qualify at Chicagoland in these cars, right? Like, it doesn't take much to really screw your lap time up. So, and you're out there obviously by yourself. There's no drafting, there's nothing. So you just kind of go out there and pin it and hope for the best, right? I mean, it is amazing that Jones can go for every series that we run between the dirt, pavement, and all the different cars that you run. And he's up there almost every time when it comes to qualifying. It's shocking how good he really is on obviously being able to qualify, but just run any kind of car.
Oh yeah, it's people like Jones that makes this league really good because, he can do anything in any car, any night, and the guy shows up and he's been around for a very long time, like your guys itself. But it's one of those guys. He's one of the guys, like I said, that I lean on to ask questions on. I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't hesitate to ask you or Smolden or Jones or guys that's been around that truly are here to help the league grow and do things. And Chris Jones definitely does that week in and week out as he took the number one qualifier. And then we go into the race trim here. We got it at Chicagoland, and Jamie Kephart ended up pulling out the win here. Brandon Parks back there in the 2, and Adam Herr. Man, Adam Herr in the top 3 here. I know I've been giving Adam a hard time, and I do it to everybody, man, so don't take nothing crazy. But congratulations on the top 3 to those guys. And we look down the list here, and, well, obviously the only guy that really pops out here was Anthony Monroe, who got into an early accident and found himself back there in the 13 spot. You guys run the Discord. Do you guys know exactly what happened with J-Bones getting disconnected? Either one of you?
I believe he said he overdrove the car, or I think early in one of the runs, probably on fresh tires. I believe he said he got loose and just lost the car. And I think he also said he forgot we had a quick repair to use and stuff like that. So I think he basically just said to heck with it and dipped down. I'm not sure of that. From what he said, I believe that's what happened.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was curious because I was like 69 laps down. That was kind of odd for him, but I didn't know if he was having internet connections or not. But that explains that. And like I said, Cole Howard definitely had a good run going there. From what we're hearing, he got up in the front of Adam there, and Adam didn't have nowhere to go. So Cole Howard taking the brunt there. Chris Jones also had a very fast car. He obviously qualified 1, finished 4th. Jonesy definitely wanted to do better than that. But like I said, overall, the win going to Jamie Kephart and Brandon Parks in the 2, Adam Herr in your top 3 there at Chicagoland. And I think it was overall, I think it was a pretty good week. What do you think, Jamie?
Oh, for sure. And to comment on that last race, I mean that sucker stayed dicey most of the race. It wasn't one person really leaving or anything like that. They had a little mess up, I think, halfway, 3 quarters through the race, and I was able to put a little bit of space on them because of that little mix up. But other than that, I mean, it was crazy racing. And pretty much for all the races I was involved in all week long, they were all pretty intense. I mean, it was good racing all week.
Yeah, it was. And we look at it, like I said here, Smolden looking at Brandon Parks leads 32 laps. Cole Howard led 10 laps. And Jamie led the last 25 laps that obviously mattered. So, Smolden, what do you think of that 3 lead changes at Chicagoland, a mile and a half? Is that pretty awesome or what?
Yeah, no, that's great racing there, right? So obviously it's always tough with the bots out there. Unfortunate for Monroe, got like you said, he got caught up in some early issues, but because he qualified decent too. So, but yeah, no, it's always a good time out at Chicagoland. I'm bummed that I missed the race myself. I was really trying to make it, but stuff happens. But yeah, overall, it's hell of a race out of those guys, and another great win out of Jamie for sure.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Awesome. All right, we're going to take a look here at what we got coming up this week. And we're going to start off, obviously, March 21st. We're going to be back in the Asphalt Street Stocks at South Boston. Right after that race, we'll take the 203s to Pocono. And you think these guys are going to like that a little bit more this week, Smolden?
Yeah, I think so. The majority of the guys weren't a big fan of the trucks being on another dirt track. So we already did Eldora, and then we, shoved another dirt track in there. So I think they'll all be happy to be back on pavement. I'm not so convinced that everyone's going to be happy that it's at the old tricky triangle or whatever they call it. But Pocono is a great racetrack. It's wide open, and it's a good time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the guys are definitely going to They're definitely going to like that. It's awesome, awesome track there, and it's going to make for a great night. And then we head over to what we got on Tuesday night. And Tuesday night, we don't have any points racing going on. What we're doing is we're going to take the top 6 that are in points from each category. Top 6 from each category. So if you're into 360s, dirt big blocks, pro late models, dirt street stocks, any of those classes, and you were top 6 in the points, you're going to be racing this week at the Chili Bowl. Only if you were in the top 6. So those boys will be racing, and then what we're going to do is we're going to run the race, and then we're going to take the top 3 guys, your top 3 finishers. Names are going to go in a hat. We're going to put a hat up here. We'll put the top 3 names in there. So if you win the top 3 in the Chili Bowl at the 360, and then you go to the big blocks and you're in the top 3 there, you're going to get 2 names in the hat. You can get up to 4 names in the hat for the weekend, and then we're going to draw a name out at the end of the race, at the end of the dirt street stock race. It'll be on there. Dirt street stocks will be on there also. And we're going to draw a name out. Whoever wins, we're going to give them $30 iRacing credits. So that'll be pretty freaking fun. So guys will have a way to make back some cash. Some of the names that'll be out there, your 360s is Valentine, Kephart, Chris Jones, Smolden, Jonathan Flowers, and Big Nasty in the 360s. Your big block top 6 is going to be Kephart, Chris Jones, Coy, Wyatt Walker, Big Nasty, and Chris Beavers. Dirt Pro late models are going to be Jamie Kephart, Wyatt Walker, Big Nasty, Chris Beavers, Coy, Chris Jones. And your Dirt Street stocks are going to be Jamie Kephart, Wyatt Walker, Chris Jones, Chris Beavers, Big Nasty, and Coy. So those 6 guys in each division are welcome to race with us for a chance to win some iRacing credits on Tuesday. Once we get that done, we'll take the SK Modifieds on March 23rd at 8 o'clock. We'll go to Martinsville Speedway. The paperclip's going to be fun there. And then right after that, we'll take the Choice Inc. Modified cars to Iowa Speedway, and that'll be an awesome race that we have there. And then we'll follow up the last race of the night with the Pro Late Models at Stafford. And then we'll get the Thursday back to the Cup cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We only got 1 or 2 races left in that, and that'll wrap that up. What do you guys think of next week's racing?
Go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, sure. All right. I can tell you right now that taking these three or four dirt cars to the Chili Bowl is going to be worth tuning into, because that little bitty track with some of those cars on there is always a show. So yeah, the dirt side of stuff is going to be interesting, and then you're adding a prize on top of that. Yep, that ought to be pretty crazy over there on the dirt side of things. But yeah, it's pretty cool seeing the trucks going to Pocono. It's a little bit of change of pace. Pocono's it's one of a kind, so that ought to be pretty cool seeing how the guys adjust the trucks and set them up, stuff like that. So, and of course Stafford, that's J Bones' home place, so yeah, he should be there for that Chaos Pro Late Model race. He should be stoked about that one in Stafford. And then Charlotte's always a good track. So is Iowa and Five Flags. Martinsville always gets intense. So yeah, it ought to be a pretty good. It seems like a little bit of everything that week, so it ought to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It should, like you said, with all the dirt being at Chili Bowl, there's nothing to lose for anybody, right? It's basically get your name in the hat and hope for the best and win some iRacing cash, which we appreciate out of you, Hawk. That's another thing that's awesome about this series that we run here. I feel like you're always given opportunities between wheel spins and everything else. You're always giving back to the racers, right? And we appreciate what you do in this, and it's a great group of guys, and that's why some of us older guys, or not older guys, but the OGs of the league are still around, right? Like, we don't even look for different leagues to run. We enjoy what you put on, and it's a good time. And we're always welcome to new guys coming in and helping them out or whatever we got to do. So next week's looking like a good week for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I tried my best to get back to you guys as much as I can. Like I said, you guys pay monthly to race in the league. You pay monthly to be a subscriber in the Twitch channel. So at least I could do is, throw up some wheel spins and give out some shit and give out some iRacing credits and, mouse pads or whatever the hell you guys can win. Like I said, it's at the opportunity's there for anybody. You know what I mean? Like I said, just every moment you can get, be the first guy in the chat, get a wheel spin. I mean, dude, just multiple times where people's walked away. Just randomly coming in. So yeah, I do. I try my best to get back to you guys. I appreciate you guys coming in week out and week in. All the guys, like I said, it's what makes this league great and grow. And yeah, so here we go. We're gonna go to get the stud and the dud And well, since we got Jamie Kephart in the building tonight, we're going to do things a little differently here tonight. Okay, so
I like it.
Here
all right.
we go.
So obviously, I get to pick the stud this week, and my stud will be coming out here right after I tell you. So Jamie Kephart and Smolden are going to give me 2 duds. Jamie's going to give me the dud on asphalt, and Smolden's going to give me the dud on dirt. And now, see, these guys had no idea I was going to do this. This is what the beauty of the live podcast is. It's like, oh, shit.
I just rolled my eyes. I'm not going to lie. I don't ever roll my eyes, but I literally just rolled my
Now
eyes.
we might not see Smolden back here next week. Okay.
Hit or miss these days.
All right, so we're gonna go with the stud of this week for me is gonna be Tyler Clemens. The dude's put on quite the performance all week. So Mr. Clemens is my stud of the week. Dominated some of the dirt and some of the asphalt stuff. So kid did a great job all week long. So keep up the good work. You're my stud. Now we're gonna head over to our guest, Jamie Kephart, gonna pick the dud of asphalt. Jamie, the mic is yours, my man.
Unfortunately, this pains me to say, I'm going to have to pick one of my fellow teammates. He did not have a good week at all. Some races he struggled in, some races he just got some bad luck in. I'm going to go with my boy J Bones. Don't take it personal, buddy. I seen we just down at the bottom of the list several times. A couple, I think, left early races. Yeah, he had a bad week. We all have them. And this past week, it seems like it was Mr. J Bones for me.
All right.
Certainly hurts to always pick a teammate. It always
does.
does.
Hey, you know, Smolden's had to pick a few of them.
Yeah, I can hardly wait to go back to the race hauler with my teammates here and take the beating from them, right?
I'm definitely going to hear it.
Yeah, you're damn right you are.
Got to pick the owner of the team, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Always tough.
Well, I guess the mic's now on Smolden here for the dirt dud.
The dirt dud of the week has got to be Jonathan Flowers this week. Struggled on almost everything he put a dirt car on a dirt track. It was tough. It was you don't expect it out of him. He puts a lot of time in it and puts a lot of time and effort into it as well. So yeah, Jonathan Flowers, you are the dud of the dirt this week, sir.
All right, there you have it, man. We rocked it out, man. We appreciate Jamie Kephart coming on board with us. He did a great job. As always, Jamie, thank you for coming on to the Hawk-Smolen podcast. Hopefully you won't be a stranger and you'll come back, Jamie.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I really appreciate you all having me on, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. Appreciate you coming on board with us this week.
All right, there you have it, man. The Hawk-Smolen podcast out for this week. The keyword we're going to look for you guys to put in the chat is going to be dud. Dud in the comment section for your chance to win some iRacing credits. I'm out. Hawk out. Smolen, great job as always. I appreciate you. Until next weekend.
Yes, sir. 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 Sir.